Live here. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Whiskey and Real Estate. I am just a pawn, the co-host, Tone, and you know who the star is, Mr. Lucas Burrington. How you feeling today, Lucas?
Good. Yeah, Lucas with Burrington Real Estate, formerly of Coldwell Banker, and we have our guest on today of, you know, the lead guy with Pork Tornadoes, and then
lead guy.
Yeah, he's the voice.
I ain't the voice. No way, man.
Well, you're the voice in the public.
Okay, I'm the public. I'm the public figure.
Voice.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. I am.
You beat the shit out of the drums, and you're a voice in the public. And then obviously, I worked with Mike with Coldwell for I was there 13 years, and
So I started at Coldwell in 2008, January.
gotcha. So you
When did you show up there?
So I was 2011,
Okay.
2010.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Jesus.
Time flies, man.
My goodness. Yeah. So it
It's
was
24 right now.
Yeah.
So just throwing that out there. 2024.
Yeah. And, you know,
And that's halfway over, by the way.
yeah.
Right.
Over halfway, man. Yeah.
This is we might need a drink to that. This episode, what are we sipping, Lucas?
So we kind of got the Cedar Ridge back on things. So we've been here many times at Cedar Ridge. You know, the Slipknot drinks we had, you can get bought at Cedar Ridge.
Number 9.
Yep, it's one of my favorites. And then if I'm going to a bar, which they usually don't have the number 9 in the bars, it's Cedar Ridge is my go-to.
Cedar Ridge. Listen, I've tried every bourbon there is, and,
Yep.
and first of all, American bourbons and ryes are the best whiskeys in the world. That's my
Agreed.
opinion.
100%.
But if you want to take a bourbon to make a cocktail with, there's none better than Cedar Ridge's bourbon.
Yep.
As in terms of taste and cost, there's
Yep.
nothing better than it.
I agree 100%. Like when my favorite drink's an old fashioned.
Yep.
And my significant other is finding out that you cannot get the same old fashioned everywhere.
No.
And everybody does a old fashioned different. She thinks it's nasty as hell. And you know what? It's the bourbon is what makes that old fashioned. And anytime I can see Cedar Ridge on the shelf, it's tough for them to screw it up. Woodford Reserve and Cedar Ridge, if you have those in stock,
Yep.
you got a good old fashioned no matter what.
I want to see a world where Cedar Ridge, because I truly think they are the best overall whiskey I've ever had when you're looking at everything. I want to see a world where Cedar Ridge becomes the new Woodford on airplanes. Because Woodford's always the bourbon on airplanes.
Yes.
And I want to see a world where there's these little mini bottles of Cedar Ridge. That would be amazing.
Yeah, I'm with you, and I think we'll see it.
Someday.
I think we'll see it. Well, let's
Yeah,
have a
hey,
drink.
cheers.
Take a drink.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have zero whiskey knowledge. I just like to sip it. So
It's amazing how, whiskey just used to be the like, oh, yeah, whiskey, but I mean, I truly think it's one of the greatest all around, what do you call it? A spirit, I guess?
Yep.
That just can do so many different things.
Yeah, my best friend Blake Anderson and I, so we would have been, it would have been 2004. Him and I and 2 other guys lived together. So, I mean, just, you got 4 single dudes.
Yep.
Living in a house across the street from Lindmar High where they just, at that time, that whole was all brand new apartments being built. So, I mean, it was a whiskey party every night.
I'm picturing you would drink a bottle of like Jack Daniels and then you'd fill it with fluid from a glow stick and put a black light behind it. That's what I'm picturing right now.
Well, and it's true, and that's not counting. We had no furniture upstairs; it was all a pool table.
Of course.
And then you had the championship, the WWE championship belt.
Oh yeah, I got a few of
was
those.
gonna
I can talk that all day.
Yeah, and who was going to get the belt for the week? And I mean, then you had your other, you had your night out containers where you guys threw money into a container and went out that night, and whoever had the best night got the pot. But I mean, him and I for a while, almost every week we would try a different bourbon.
Yeah.
And we all worked at Best Buy at that time.
Nice.
So, I mean, not only did we have no furniture, but we had the best sound system. we had the best TVs mounted. I'm telling you, man, that's when plasmas were like $8,000 and $4,000 for an LCD. And I mean, it was crazy. And monster cables were the thing.
Oh, yeah.
I remember selling monster cables, cutting them in half and be like, look, this is why it's a monster cable. I mean, it is wrapped in aluminum, it's wrapped in this, and it's blah, blah, blah. It takes away all. Anyways.
Upselling. Jesus.
Oh, yeah. So, and still to date, I mean, out of all the whiskeys we've ever gone across, Cedar Ridge, and I mean, it's right there. And I know he'll watch this episode, so I'm challenging you. We got to get down, Blake, and have a bottle of Cedar Ridge. Sit down and have another one.
I've been so lucky to have a relationship with those guys because they sponsor the band, the Pork Tornadoes. They sponsor the podcast, Confused Breakfast, and both entities now have been able to handpick a barrel to have our own. We had our own Confused Breakfast American Quintessential Single Malt, and then we had our handpicked small batch Pork Tornadoes bourbon. I mean, like. I could die tomorrow and just that would be a top 5 moment in my life is having a whiskey with my name on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Thanks to Cedar Ridge, you know?
Yeah. Hey, Tone, there's our goal right
Shout
there.
out to Cedar Ridge.
That's our goal. Cedar Ridge, you're watching. Here we go.
The podcast is whiskey and real estate, you know, it might make sense.
Yep.
So before we get into the many talents of Mike, I've had the honor of seeing variations of you, very many, you know, from seeing you live with the Pork Tornadoes. I watched Confused Breakfast, honored them at 2 of the Iowa Music Awards. And then we did a podcast here where you got to cut loose, talking top tier. That's always a lot of fun. Today, we're looking for business realtor Mike, which I didn't even know about. Like, I feel like you keep it kind of hidden, or what's up with that?
It's kind of unfortunate. It's not a very good business model when your main career is something that you don't really talk about because of all your other cool stuff. It's like, you know, of course I'm going to share that like my band played in front of 5,000 people at the Iowa State Fair a couple weeks ago. And of course I'm going to share that my podcast, that we were on Bert Kreischer's podcast in LA, you know, like I'm going to share those things because they're sexy things. And when you're talking about businesses like that, they're the way to get people to be like, oh, you know what? Maybe I should check out the Pork Tornadoes, or maybe I should check out Confused Breakfast. But sharing like a house that I sold is just sort of like, oh, that's so boring.
Well, and everything you're talking about right now is milestones. Like,
yes, correct.
They're milestones in your career, and I mean,
and they're things that no one else really does. Yeah. But if I'm like, well, I sold this house. There's 700 other realtors in Lynn County that are like, I sold a house, and like nobody cares, man. But it's very sad because it is my main job. It is my career, and sometimes I find that I do lose out on business because people don't think that I still do it, or they think, oh, he's too busy. He's got all this other stuff, and it's like, no, this is actually my career, you know. Yeah. So it is a really hard lesson that I've learned over the years of like. The more I've talked about other things, the less busy I've become. Yeah. Kind of on purpose because I do like to spread myself among a lot of different things. But man, you know, those couple deals a year that you miss out on, that can be a little tough.
Yeah, it is. And you know, it's funny you say that because with myself having the different business avenues that I have, and you know, being a basketball coach, being a football coach, and helping and run the Diplomats, and then you know property management of 550 some odd properties. And
that's probably where most people go, oh well, he can't help me buy because he's doing the renting thing.
Exactly. And
so
like,
what?
And all my new agents, and I mean we'll have 11 agents now by the end of this month, and the most importantly thing I tell them is you gotta maintain be someone they're thinking about when it comes to real estate, because I don't know how many times I see someone go buy another house and they're like, man, we thought you were just doing rentals. Exactly what you said. So it's one of those things that our career is real estate. And we've been, Mike, when we were at Coldwell together and we were there 13 plus years together, we were always in top 5 together. I mean, it was, you always saw Mike Schulte's name up there towards the top, and Jeremy and I were always right up there at the top, or right near the top. And so, I mean, it not only is it our career, we're actually really good at it.
Dude, I did the math the other day. I've done like 650 transactions in my career. But at the same time, that was when I was young. I wasn't married. I didn't have kids, and I really did have this hustle mentality of like, dude, I want to be number one, and I want to sell this many houses, and I want to make this much money. But life changes, you know, like I just had my second daughter, I'm married, I've got all this other stuff. I've got these things that are finite. Your kids growing up, like that ends quick. I've got this band that is at the top of the chain, and like it might not last forever, but The getting's good.
Keep getting while
The
it's
getting's good.
Right.
This podcast thing came out of nowhere, and it's like insane. So I'm trying to spend time on that stuff where real estate's such a great career because as hard as you want to go, you can go.
Yeah.
Yep.
But also as far as you want to pull back. Dude, last year was my worst, I put it in quotation, my worst year in a decade. But it was completely awesome. Like I sold like 13 houses for like $4 million in volume, and like, and then had time off to be home and to do stuff. So it stings a little bit when your name's not up there at the end of the year, but how much time I would have had to put in to get there is a whole different story, right?
Well, and I've had those years where it was 18 million and 17 million individually. When I think shoot,
You had to make sure you threw that in there.
well, no. This is
4 million.
No. Mike was always. In the
I
upper,
never got that high.
but regardless, everyone would always say is like, how did you maintain this? Because I mean, personally, I was doing, like 100 transactions.
You held on for dear life is what you did.
And I said, I don't recommend it to anybody.
No, because you ultimately, when you start getting, my best year was maybe like 11 million. And I'll never do that again because my customer service went away. Pretty much,
right.
I can almost guarantee you, almost anybody that used me that year probably had a negative experience. Not because I didn't do a good job, but because I wasn't my normal.
You couldn't give 100%.
I couldn't give 100%. And I know that I failed a little bit in that. And everything got done and people bought their dream houses, but maybe the communication lapsed a couple times. And I know if without help, without a team, not a chance could I do that again.
Yeah, I mean, it is absolutely insane. And my old real estate partner, still one of my good friends, Jeremy, I mean, he's bald for a reason. I mean,
he's been bald since I met him.
Yeah. And I mean, the kicker to the situation is him and I, and we'd sprinkle in one or two other guys that were with us.
But you guys were the guys, though.
Yeah, and when we're popping 300 transactions between two guys and a third person,
that's a closing a day.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. I mean,
including the weekends.
The first thing we always tell these younger agents is I just don't recommend being that busy because your lifestyle changes. I mean, and the kicker to the situation is the customer experience, and that's the one thing you don't want to jeopardize. And that's one thing that I'm trying to refresh on myself right now is the whole customer experience and making sure that the customer's the eye of the beholder type situation. And we've always talked about, Mike, I think you can chime in on this, is if you're in real estate for a commission check, you're in it for the wrong reason.
Completely.
Yeah, completely. And we've talked about it on many episodes about and it's funny how you started mentioning it is the work you put into real estate, you'll get
that's
right back.
That's the best part about this job.
Yep.
Is
the only
what other
career
jobs can you work? However hard you work, generally equates how much money you make.
It's so true.
There's not many other positions that are like that, but that's the beauty of it is you can also tone back, like tone. You can also pull it back just a little bit, and if you don't want to work that hard, you don't have to. But when those wheels start going slower. Yeah. Like if I decided tomorrow that I wanted to get back up to 11 million, it would take me a couple years to re-spin those wheels and get my name out there. And I don't know, man. It's been 18 years in this business, and I don't know anything else. But there are days when I'm like, oh man, a 9-to-5 would be pretty sweet. Would be pretty cool.
Man, I see these guys driving by, and you got the yellow hat. There's construction all over Cedar Rapids right now. You see these guys with the yellow hats and the vests on. I'm like, man, he's busting his ass out there. But you know what? When he goes home, he goes home.
It's
done. It's done. And you know what? I'll go sweat it out for 6 hours and 8 hours, whatever it needs to be. And you know what? As soon as my hat's off, it's off.
Yeah, and you have to. That's what the young agents can learn. Hopefully, is that you can set your boundaries. The first thing somebody taught me, I think it was Steve Seifert. He's like, if you have a family function, your kids have soccer practice, you're going out to eat with your wife. Put it on your calendar as an appointment. It's an appointment. And if somebody says, I got to see this house tonight at 5:00, be like, I'm sorry, I have an appointment tonight.
Yep.
You don't have to say I'm going out to eat with my family or whatever. Most people will understand that and appreciate it, but I have an appointment. Can we do it tomorrow night? Most people will say yes, and the people that say no are the people you don't want to work with.
Yeah, and it's so true. And when you're starting off, it's tough to see that commission check go somewhere else. Even today I still get Burrington knowing I sold that house 5 years ago, and this he now has a cousin that's a realtor, and he's using.
Of course, he has a cousin that's a realtor.
Yeah, and you're just like, really, but I always teach the young agents, have your non-negotiables.
Yep.
Don't jeopardize your non-negotiables. I jeopardized my non-negotiables.
Everybody does when you're starting off. It's how it is.
And it's one of the biggest things in the career that I do regret is jeopardizing the non-negotiables.
Yep.
And I mean, Tone and I have talked about this many times, is how some of those people don't appreciate the non-negotiables either.
Oh yeah.
9 o'clock at night, 10 o'clock at night.
They're just like, if you don't do it, somebody else will. You know.
Yeah. And but that's the nature of the beast that we're in right now.
Yeah. Speaking of the nature of the beast we're in right now, one of the segments we do is today's market.
Okay.
Mike, it's just your opinion of today's market. What should people be looking for? Talk about the good, the bad. How do you feel about it?
Well, man, we're so used to. It's funny how just a 2-year period of something will make you just used to that. The last couple of years, we're just like, this is the easiest business I've ever, especially when you have listings. Oh, man, get a listing, automatic paycheck, put a sign in the yard, sold, done deal. I have a listing that hasn't had a showing in a month. And like not one showing. We listed.
Whoa.
It's been listed for a month. Not one single showing. So
I was just talking to Jeremy about that. He's like, man, you got 27 listings right now. I'm like, I do.
Yeah.
I'm set for the fall. I go,
exactly.
But man, I got 10 that are what we would consider an A+ listing.
Yeah.
And because it's 250 or 225 to 275, no foot traffic.
Nothing.
310, no foot traffic. I'm just like, what is going on? Like, these are A+ properties. You walk in, everything is brand spanking new in them. I mean, it's the shiny house on the block. Like
2 years ago, it would have just been multiple offers day one.
Well, and
wow.
One of my investors owns 2 of them, and he's been in this business real heavily for the last 30 years, and so he's seen the last 5 years. He's like, why isn't it like the last couple years? I'm like, because it's not. It's not.
Well, that's one of the hardest things about real estate is every bit of data that you get is post dated. It's like if we're going to list a house today, I'm going to tell you everything that happened in the last couple weeks, but I don't know what's happening today.
Right.
Because it's not happening yet.
Yeah.
And so it's really hard to tell people that, to be like, I think it's worth this.
Right.
But I actually don't know, because how many buyers are out there right now?
Right.
Because they may have all bought last week.
Well, and this was a buyer that was at a 4% rate, then a buyer that's sitting at a 7% rate. This $300,000 house is really appealing at a 3.5% to 4%.
Yes,
rate.
it is.
Well, and speaking on rates just went down again, and I closed the loan yesterday, and I was talking to the loan officer, and he's now getting stuff at 5.5.
Okay. That should help.
Yeah.
I think, and it'll be the final push of the year. School's back in session. It hasn't snowed yet. We've got that 2 month period of like, let's go.
Yes,
You're speaking our language.
Yeah.
But you know what? In generally speaking, take the last couple years out of it. In a traditional year, we would always slow down in the summer. We peak a little bit in the fall, and then by the time you hit Thanksgiving, it is over. Like it is over from Thanksgiving until about March 1st. That is your old school traditional year.
Yeah.
And I think it kind of did that last year, so I think it's going to kind of do that this year.
Well, and I'm feeling it on it, and I'm also seeing. So when that single family and residential area dies, that's when my investors go nuts. So like from Thanksgiving to January.
Oh, gotcha, because
1st,
that's when they're scooping up properties that people are panicking on.
They're panicking, and they got their accountant just told them, "Hey, we got to you got to spend some money. You guys have made this much money this year, this much, and I don't think we'll run into that this year because investors are having a tough time making money right now.
Exactly.
So I think this year is going to, I'm very excited for our Winter Months podcast to kind of give an update, because this is a completely unique. It's going to be a unique winter that we're in, because unless rates drop, because now the profitability comes back.
Yes.
Because now their payments aren't as high, and so on and so forth. The creative financing, there was just a podcast right before us from Chuck, who was on our last episode, and he was on a creative finance podcast that he was asked to come join. Him and I put together a deal last night for like $1.3 million on 3 houses. That's
okay.
it. So 3 monster houses.
Yeah.
And the years of the banks are gone on some of those type of deals. It's finance carryback. I mean,
have you gotten to the creative financing?
No, I haven't had to deal with it.
My prediction of everything I'm seeing in this world, the banks will always still be relevant to our residential buyers and whatnot. But anyone that even the first time investor trying to go out there and buy his first rental property or trying to buy that, they're not using banks anymore.
Yeah, really.
They're coming in with cash and they're putting a percentage down, or they're raising the money from other investors.
Gotcha.
Like the one we put together last night, 3 houses. He's turning them completely into Airbnbs. They are Airbnbs right now, and I'm talking they're all $500,000 houses.
Jesus.
And he bought them all together. That we discounted the price for it. So the guys they raised $500,000 to give him a down payment on it. He's carrying back $800,000. He's got no payment back to him for 8 months. And I mean, there's so much.
Is that worth it?
Oh, it is. It is. It's completely.
I just sold another one of my rentals. I'm like, this ain't worth it.
Man, I mean, so it is. I mean, some of those guys are collecting doors right now.
All right.
So when rates go down, they'll get rid of the creative financing.
Gotcha.
They'll refinance it back out
Gotcha.
once rates go down. Or they're coming in and assuming those investors' loans, like, hey, you know what? I'll give you 30 G's more than what you're asking for right now, but I want you to carry back some, and I'm just going to assume your 4% interest rate right now.
Okay.
But I'm going to give you 30 or 40 extra G's just for me to assume that 4% rate, because they're figuring the interest on the back end is going to be a hell of a lot more than that. So there's so much.
I got my first rental from owning it. Like that was the easiest way I could get a rental, was just like, I'm going to buy this and live in it for a couple years, and then now it's a rental.
Yeah. It's been insane how guys are gobbling up stuff. But I mean, it's also been the guys that were doing it the standard ways.
Right.
They're pinched so tight on the open market, and they're pinched so tight on anything that is not getting creative on the margin side.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they're either dead for the last year, or they're struggling on the ones they're buying, or they needed to, they're just praying to God that rate drop comes.
Yeah.
So investors, you know, you start calling and ask your realtors how creative they can get and how they can find you deals creatively, because that's where the money's at right now.
Wow, that's huge.
Yeah, and we got Chuck and another guy in our that are realtors. They specialize in it, and obviously I've been in creative financing for the last 10 of my 13, 14 years. So we've seen all different ways deals are getting put together, and you just shake your head at some of these, like
whatever.
And like, I'm going back to a training, like we just got done talking about it here in Miami with Chuck, on trying to retrain our brain on how to think some of these deals through, and just taking that box and expanding it.
Right.
So yeah, it's been crazy. So let's get into the next point. Obviously, real estate's crazy. You being and I don't want to sell Mike short, because he's a local rock star around here.
National rock star.
Yeah. Especially in the Midwest here, because it's one of those that my daughter, it would have been 4 or 5 years ago. And you know, we've already had the episodes of daughters going to work and whatnot. And, I show up to a closing, and Mike's there, and it was the Blues were just getting ready to win the championship. And Mike's a hockey guy, so he likes his Blues.
Born and raised in St. Louis.
Yeah, so he likes his Blues, and I've been a Blues fan my whole life too. Yeah. And so we show up. Mike, I almost think you had a Blues jersey on.
I don't think I had a jersey on, but
it was something. It was something, because it sparked the conversation of the Blues. And well, anyways, so I brought Camille, my daughter, and she's always been a huge Pork Tornado fan.
That's
and
awesome.
she comes and she goes, that's the drummer. I go, it is. I go, that's Mike. You know Mike?
Yeah.
I'm like, I do know Mike. I sell real estate with him. He's representing. I had the buyer, you had the seller. God, it was that Community Choice Bank, or whatever that
Community
bank.
First.
Community First.
Yep.
It was a closing.
My brother was a mortgage lender there for a while, and now he runs the whole mortgage department for the state for that bank. Yeah.
Gotcha. So we had a closing there.
Yep.
That's where it was. I remember like yesterday, because my daughter was, it's one of those moments.
5 years ago.
yeah, you want to see your daughter's eyes just light up.
Yeah.
And that was one of those moments I'm like, well, shit, Dad don't mean shit right now. I'm like, hey, don't worry about
I'm
this
just
closing.
providing for you your
putting a
entire
house,
life.
you know, putting a roof over your house with this closing today. But Mike Schulte's there.
Yeah.
So.
We get that a lot, man. We get a lot of people like, oh my God. Like, it's like, dude, we are literally just dudes.
Like,
you know?
but you are like just even outside of music, just one of the coolest dudes ever. Like
I appreciate
like
it.
I said,
I
I've
agree.
seen
I
so
agree.
many levels and variations of you, and all of them dope as hell. Like every version of Mike. Like I said, the real estate version is the only one that I think I only found out that you did real estate because I was like, I'm about to finish these classes. You was like, oh yeah, that's a great thing. I've been selling houses. I'm
For
like, what?
17 years.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's my parents, man. Like I grew up in a really great kind of Irish family of just like talking and communication and being a nice person. And I got lucky growing up because like that's just how I was raised to just be like, be outgoing, be fun, you know, and
yeah, for sure.
And it's just been. I actually told my wife last night that I would totally have run by now for like mayor of Cedar Rapids if it wasn't for politics being so terribly divisive and like
and
why
just
would
rip you apart.
would anyone get into politics right now? I don't know why anyone wants to do it.
Yeah.
But if you go back like 20 years, like. It didn't matter what your political affiliation was to run for mayor of a city.
Right.
And now it's like, you a Democrat or Republican? It's like, why does it matter?
Yeah, we talked about this like
Oh,
3
yeah.
or 4 episodes
Yeah,
ago.
yeah.
Same stuff.
Why does it matter?
Yeah.
My buddies would be like, man, you've always been involved with the community. You know, you represent all sides of the community and what you do and all your nature. Why don't you just run for some seat?
Why would I?
I go, why?
Why?
I go,
What's
I
the
run a
point?
property management company. I'm like, are you kidding me? They're going to pull up every eviction that I've ever done. And they're going to go back and look into the soul of me. And not only the soul of me, I got daughters.
Yeah,
you
now
know,
your family's at risk.
I
and
go,
stuff.
they're going to rip everything I've ever done in life apart. And man, I was not good between 21 and 25.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, I still was in the community here, but I was doing Lucas.
Something happened that somebody's gonna be like, I would like to come forward and talk about Lucas.
There was this time in a nightclub that
I think we all had a villain arc. Mike, probably not Mike. I don't think Mike's had a villain
a
arc.
couple villain, maybe not. Yeah,
I was maybe like one short season. Like
wasn't like the full blown like boss leader of the group, but I was like just a subgenre villain. You know, like,
okay. Yep. You got to fight me to get to the boss.
exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
well, half your band's family that I've known way before the Pork Tornadoes got rolling because I worked with half of them it was called the Fajita Factory at that time.
Pork Tornadoes?
Your lead singer,
No way did he work there.
his brother was one of my good friends that worked at
Mason does not have a brother.
cousin.
Well, yeah, he's got a Kale Green. I don't know, man.
I'm trying to remember what his name was, but Mason came in and sang, and
What?
Yeah, and he was just on himself. So ask Mason about the pork. Or,
I remember
the
the
factory.
Fajita Factory just shot a bunch of memories into my brain.
Yeah. I was
What-
bartending there.
Was that the first? What was it called first? Was it with the grill, like the Japanese grill first?
Was it Kaji?
Kaji? Then it was Fajita Factory, and then it was.
Well, in Mulligan's, when Mulligan's took it over, it still has all the same decor.
Oh yeah, it's the same place.
Yeah, I mean nothing changed. But it was another golf named Bogies or something like that.
Oh man, that's weird to think about. Yeah, I think Kaji was the first place it was though.
Yeah.
God.
Yeah, because the
way
owner,
too long ago.
yeah, the owners of the
We're
Fajita
old.
Factory were district managers with Best Buy, so that's all
Jesus,
we had.
man.
Yeah, so we got to go through this. I didn't know about Best Buy, Lucas. Like we're on season 4 now. So
man.
We need first before we get to your jobs, Mike. What all jobs? Because right now you wear a ton of hats. What jobs did you work leading to real estate? Like, just go through everything you remember.
I did everything, man, and it was kind of a joke that I'd work a job for about a year and then move on. Like from the time I was 14 till I worked at Subway. I worked at Chapman's Fun World. Everybody,
Yeah, I remember Chapman.
dude.
Yeah,
the
that's
best
awesome.
thing that ever happened was I came home from college after my freshman year. And I got a job at Chapman's.
Yeah.
It's the best job of my life. Just
What?
just running go-karts and running the water slide as like a 19-year-old kid, you know?
Yeah.
And I talked to the owner. I was about ready to go back to Iowa for school. And I said, hey, man, I'm coming back again next summer. Can I do this again? It was awesome. He goes, yep. He goes, just show up when you get back in town in June and your job's waiting for you. I go, yeah. So I like finished out school my sophomore year at Iowa, and then I partied that weekend, and then went home. Monday morning at 8 a.m. I drive up. Gone. It's demolished.
Yep.
It was
No
gone.
warning whatsoever.
So that was a
Welcome
tough
to
summer.
Cedar Rapids. You have something great and then you don't.
It's so true. So true.
Then I did like a temp agency that summer. Then I worked at West Music. I worked at Journeys all in college. Then I worked at Aegon, which was now Transamerica. I did that. That was my first real job.
Holy shit.
And I remember sitting there kind of day one going, oh my God, if this is the next 40 years of my life, I can't.
Yeah.
I just can't. I can't.
I just can't.
I can't do it. And so luckily that's how I fell into real estate. I went to the apprentice night.
Yep.
I was the fourth apprentice at Coldwell, and I interviewed. They hired me. So I was 1 year at Aegon, and then I started at Coldwell, and that's been my only job since then, which is wild because I pretty much did like everything. Bartended, did everything, man.
That's
and
so
then
dope. And I love the fact that we're so like Iowa, like ingrained. Like Chapman's brought like a whole shit ton of memories to me. Like, oh my God, Mike was probably working.
I might have been.
while
I was the guy that like on a Saturday night, some drunk guys would come in and they'd be like, we're gonna do go-karts. I bet we could beat you, kid. I'm like, all right, $20. And they're like, all right, $20. And then I would go bring in the really good go-kart. And they'd be like, whoa. I'd be like, you didn't say what go-kart I could use or not.
Exactly.
My bad. I've driven every one of these. I got a green sticker on this one. It's slow.
We
Brings
called
out the gold one.
We called that one Gandalf. Gandalf was the gold one, and it was always in the garage in case we
Gandalf
needed
the
it.
Great.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Lucas, Best Buy?
Oh man, I was a fairway guy for
Oh, nice.
all through pretty much. So my freshman year of high school, they had trucks at 3-4 o'clock in the morning. So I'd go unload trucks.
Okay.
Go work out for football. Go to school, get out of practice, go back to work at Fairway. And I did that for 7 years. And
7 years at Fairway. It's crazy.
Yeah, and like 4 different locations because from high school to college, and then I transferred to college up here. So and there was a couple Fairways here in town that we helped out. And then Best Buy came recruit, and I had a couple buddies that I went to college with that were there, and it was my junior and senior year of college at Co. And so went down there, and they brought me in as seasonal help. And I mean, all 4 guys that I lived with at that place, we all worked at Best Buy, and we all started together. Yeah. And they brought us in as a seasonal, and during our interview, I'm like, man, I'll be here after seasonal help. Don't worry about me. You're gonna hire me on and whatever. Not just cocky, stupid kid. 20, I mean, just stupid. And sure shit. After that, I 9 months I was one of the sales leads and whatever not, and that's what got me into banking is because Best Buy's training was so good that the banks were recruiting people that were trained by all Best Buy. And so I took our areas in Best Buy up to like number 1 in the company. And so we were giving speeches up at Edina, Minnesota on customer loyalty and how to retain clients and how to retain staff. And so we were giving a speech, and Wells Fargo Financial's home base was also up in Edina, Minnesota. Yeah. And they had 2 guys there listening to us speak. And as soon as I got out of there, like, hey, you sick of working holidays?
Yep.
How much you making? I'm like, I'm $8 an hour. They're like, we're going to pay you a salary of this. You're not going to have any
Never
weekends.
even said the word salary.
Yeah, you want your holidays back? Yeah, how do you like doing Thanksgiving, and Black Friday and whatever not? I'm like, he's like, you don't got to worry about that. I'm okay, I'm on. Yeah. So I became a banker from there, and I failed every math class that I was ever in high school. And I was just like, man, I'm telling you, don't pull my transcript up from college because I dropped every math class. I took the basic ones I could get through. I took my stats and statistics, and that got me my math area. Oh, man. I mean, let's be real. I was in college for sports and whatever other recreational activities that was going on. And but man, it was so that was my journey as I went from busting my ass at Fairway 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the mornings, getting done with a Saturday game or a Friday night light game day when I was in high school, waking up Saturday morning, barely being able to walk, still unloading trucks, and then in college playing on Saturday, waking up, he having Sunday to heal, and then Monday you were back grinding. I mean, so it was. My whole life's been nothing but work and grind, and so that's why we bring our daughters into this occasion because we're all girl dads.
Girl dads, 2 girls.
And I would say from advice from you guys, I have the oldest girls that are 14 and 16. teach them young that work ethic, bring them to work, expose them to expose them
You
to the
should
social
see.
society. Yeah.
Me and Naya did a show with AVP last Friday at Chrome Horse, and it was the coolest shit ever.
I saw the
it
video
was,
of that, man. That
like,
was awesome.
Yeah, literally one of the best moments of my life. Like getting to share the stage with her, the fact that she loves it, the fact, like, I told her several times, you don't have to do this, and like I just strongly feel that although I'm in entertainment so much, it's how I make my living. I tell her, like, if you don't want to sing, you don't want to dance, you don't have to do it. Like what I do is like to provide for you, but she is so involved. She's choreographing, like doing choreography for her own dance moves. She's teaching other kids choreography. She's singing. We've got 2 or 3 songs together now. AVP just wrote one for her. Like she is just like the prodigy.
Yeah.
But if she ever wants to walk away, I'm so okay with that.
Right.
We had a moment at the show where I had to pull her to the side because she was getting nervous. I said, hey, you want to do all 3 songs? You don't have to do any. Or let me do the first one, and then I'll bring you out. And she's like, wipes her tears. I'm doing all the songs. I can't wait. I'm excited. I'm just so excited. That's why I'm having anxiety.
Yep.
And look, dude, she's 9. Like, the way she speaks, like she's an adult. But we get on that stage and she's smiling and she's doing her dance and they're cheering her on. And we had paused like to introduce the next song. And what I did is I flipped her story and I said, hey, I was a little nervous before I got up here, but you know, this one right here pulled me to the back and said, you know, chin up, let's do this.
Right.
We're about to kill it. And, you know, we're here to have a good time. And like literally just best moment ever. And like, shout out to AVP. Thank you for allowing us to do that at Chrome Horse. But like,
Yeah, it was cool.
These are the coolest. So like when you talk about bringing your daughters to sell houses and I'm getting to bring mine on stage and perform and dance with me, like those are the greatest moments ever.
Well, and it's the old saying, you know, you give a guy a fish, he'll eat for a day. You teach him how to fish, he'll be able to feed for the rest of his life. And what we're doing with the kids aspect of it is they're so socially, and excuse my language on this, and I can get beat up on it, but they're socially retarded out there of not knowing how to communicate with each other. I mean,
It's only going to get worse.
well, and I listen to my 14-year-old daughter that is afraid of. Thank God she's afraid to date and afraid to talk to
thank
boys.
God.
Did you hear that stat that like teenagers are having less sex than they ever have? Like,
Oh, thank God.
I know, no, like I think it has to do with the social awkwardness of everything. Like nobody knows how to actually interact with anybody
Well, and she
aside from online.
yeah,
obviously.
she was talking to Monica about, you know, how to talk to a boy and so on and so forth. And Camille, I'm sorry for lighting this up, but it's one of those like, what do you talk about? I walk by him in the hallway. I didn't want to see him every day. I got to date someone from a different school because they're so used to here, they don't know how to interact face to face. And that was like eye opening last night when she was talking about that. I was just like, holy shit! I'm like, you can go out and sell a house. She's a receptionist at AMMT, so she's talking to people that were kicking out of houses or that are late on rent and want to have every excuse, and she has no qualms with that. But the minute she has to interact with a peer,
Isn't that weird?
she don't know how.
That's
you know,
weird.
Mike? Father too. Yours are pretty young, right?
Yeah, my daughter is 2 years old, 2 months, and I have a 3-week-old other daughter that just came into the world. And
So you got 3?
I have 2 kids. Sorry,
two,
so
yep.
I don't know how. Words are hard.
It's okay.
No, but dude, yeah, same thing.
hard.
Same thing. Like I was picturing my daughter like performing and going on stage.
Yeah.
She already knows how to hold drumsticks. I'm not.
What?
I'm not. She plays drums. She goes
Okay,
bam,
did you say
bam,
2
bam,
years
bam.
old?
She's 2 years old, dude. She already like perfectly hits the floor tom and the snare at the same time. Her rhythm, like she'll clap like right on beat. I know 40-year-olds that can't clap on beat.
Yeah.
She's like,
It's me. I can't.
but I'm not like pushing it. I don't want her to do it. But I had a vision in my head of like her on stage someday.
Yeah.
And me watching her perform will be better than any show I've ever played.
I swear it is.
I've played in front of 10,000 people before, but
Yeah.
watching her probably play her first show will be even cooler
Exactly.
than me having played that show in front of 10,000 people.
It absolutely is.
Oh,
There's
man.
no
I'm
better
so
feeling.
excited for you on that. Man.
She loves music. In fact, I'll play you the video the other day.
Yeah.
I go, Willa, who's your favorite artist? And she goes, Mac Miller. She's 2 years old, and I go, well, who else do you like? She goes, Eminem.
Yeah.
And then I go, well, who else? And she goes, Dr. Dre.
All right.
Like, do you know anybody else that's a musician?
I want to go to Schulte's.
Anybody
I want to
else?
see his playlist
Me.
now. I know what he's got going on at home.
She's got some sort of a like a photogenic brain or
Yeah.
something. Like, I don't know. I've
Was it
never
one of
raised a
those
kid.
like you're trying to get your kid to say you and it just wouldn't happen?
No. You just like I'll
You got
I'll
a
just
2-year-old
say,
walking around the house singing "Lose Yourself."
dude. She goes, please stand up. Please stand up.
Nice.
Please stand up. It's like, and she's 2, man. So like, I don't care if she plays music, but I want her to love music.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
all
That's
I
a
care about.
requirement.
Every night
that's
we pick out an album, an LP. I got a big vinyl collection. She'll just pick one out and go, this one, and we'll listen to it. You know, so like that's all I want is appreciation of music.
Yeah.
And then if she falls in love with it, like
Yeah.
I did, like it was the first thing in my life I ever obsessed over.
Yeah.
Was music, and maybe she will too. I don't know. It'll be pretty awesome, man.
Yeah.
Well, last night was so I had a trainer with our basketball girls last night. And my daughter's in that group, and I'm always coach. So last night we were at game or shoot 360, and Kaylin that was here earlier was training 5 of our girls, and I've coached these girls since they were like that big. I got to play dad last night and sit back and
Whole
watch.
different story, probably.
And it was like, oh my God, I think I'm done coaching. I'm like, because this is the best experience that I've had is I get to sit and watch my daughter actually play. I don't got to be on her ass about anything because it's the coach's kid. So you have to be a little sterner on it. And it was an amazing experience. And I'm telling you from an outsider with you guys looking in, because I follow you, Tone, obviously you're my man. And watching what your daughter does and with you and the joy you guys have when you're doing it is absolutely like, it's almost like a teary-eye moment. Because those are the moments we wish for our kids.
Yeah.
And there's like with Schulte, every year I watch it's almost like a Christmas special. They sit in his living room and they take
The Knox box thing?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite things they do. And I cannot wait for the moment where he brings his daughter on to be part of the request, because what they're doing, and I've been involved with it, donating money and sending requests in. Or I just sit back and watch. Like last year, I just sat back and watched, and as they played.
I'm lost. Explain what this is. What am I missing out on?
There's an incredible foundation in Iowa called Knox Box Foundation.
Yes.
They're out of Cedar Falls. The couple that started this lost their son to SIDS when he was like 6 months old or something like that. Yeah. And you know, good things come out of tragedy. Sometimes it powered them to start up a foundation to just raise money to get those Owlette socks. Have you ever seen those before? They're these socks you put on a newborn's foot that monitors heartbeat, oxygen saturation. So the problem with SIDS is that you put your kid down to go to sleep, and then you wake up the next morning and they've been passed away for 5 hours. You know, but with this, it alarms you. It like your phones go off. This thing goes off, says, "Hey, something's wrong."
Yeah,
gives you the power to go do that. So for the last 6 years, we've been. Every December, we've been raising, like doing a live stream podcast kind of thing where we play songs and raise money for it. And it's been incredible because when we first started doing that, I didn't have kids. I didn't think I was going to have kids. So it was just more supporting local, like helping these good people out. Mason had kids.
For the right reasons.
For the right reasons. But now that I have kids, it's like, oh my God.
Couldn't imagine. I was going to bring up the fact that when my wife was pregnant with Naya, like I kept saying, I don't care, boy, girl, I don't care. And then when it was gender reveal, I was like, boy.
Right.
And dude, I am so grateful that it's a girl. And the girl dad thing, like you can't describe it. I had all these plans for this boy that it's gonna be everything that I wasn't, the athlete, the rapper, and all this. And then the girl gets here and melts my heart, and like it's whatever you want to do, princess.
Yeah,
like
the edge is gone when they come around. The edge is gone.
The other day I was walking down the street holding her hand, and she's like, "Daddy, sing." So I'm singing like Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star as loud as I can, going past other adults that are looking at me like, what the hell is going on here? But like, don't care. It's
You're
as
right.
long as my daughter's happy, don't
Yep,
care.
same.
Normally, 2 years ago, I'd have been like, I don't want to embarrass myself in front of these people.
Man.
Yeah.
Now it's like,
It's so
I
true.
want to
Oh
embarrass
yeah,
myself.
yeah.
in front
We're
of these people.
playing tag in Walmart, bro.
That's
all day long.
Yeah, I don't care at all.
Yeah, one of the highlights that I'll never forget is me and the girls throwing dodgeballs back and forth in between the aisles at Walmart. And my ex sticking her head in the middle and get drilled right in the head. And I was like, oh, good shot, Camille. And
Whoopsie.
That's my girl.
Yeah, that's my girl right there. But anyway.
I'm actually kind of glad I waited till later in life to have kids because I was very big into sports back in the day. Played varsity many years, and if I would have had kids in my 20s, I would have been coach, and I would have been like,
Yeah.
But now, if my kids want to get into sports, people aren't even gonna know I know how to play sports. I'm gonna sit on the sideline and go.
Yeah.
You do that. I don't have time for it, and you can do it.
Well, and I took a hiatus from coaching. Well, I still trained kids, and I still did that for 2 years before I got hauled back into it. And I'm the best dad in the stands because I say nothing.
Yep.
That's dad.
I wouldn't have 10 years ago, but now I'll say nothing.
Because I understand what that coach is going
Yep.
through. I understand I'm not at their practice. I understand the attitude these kids are giving behind the scenes. I'm like, yeah, that guy's good over there. I'm like, yeah, I don't need to say nothing. Camille, listen, you're wrong. Kennedy, you know what? That guy's probably right.
Coaching takes a very particular temperament, and I don't have that. I don't have it, man. I don't have the patience to be like, good try it again, try it this way next time. Okay, yeah, my brother does. He coached Marion varsity boys soccer for 4 years, and he's got it.
Yeah.
I don't. I don't have it.
So word to parents out there, just you don't know what's going on behind the scenes with those kids.
Right.
I mean, I'm
Shut
telling
up
you,
and let
these-
your coach coach.
Yeah, a lot of these aren't paid, and
Well,
if
it's
they
like-
are paid, if you break it down by hour, $3 an hour.
It's like we talked about with politics. Why would you ever want to ref youth
man.
sports right now? Why
In
would
today's
you?
world,
Why
you
would you
can't.
ever want to do that? And back in the day, it was like a noble thing. Like, hey, thanks, thanks
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
upping our game. Now it's like a piece
It's
of
about
shit.
the parents treating, Chuck has told
Parents
me
are the
so many
problem, man.
stories about these parents coming at them
Yeah.
crazy and how they've, not his team, but he's told me about other teams where they're losing championships because this parent's going to freak out if their kid doesn't get any play.
Yep.
And we got 2 minutes left and their kid's just not that good, but I got to get this kid in or this parent's going to destroy
The
me.
sense of entitlement in today's world is out of control.
insane.
There's two things there's two things I think have changed over the last decade. It's entitlement has gone up and loyalty has gone down.
Huge.
And I think those used to actually probably be a little reversed.
Yeah.
Yep.
Go back two decades, go back 3 decades. Now everybody feels they're entitled to something, and they don't have to be loyal to anyone about anything because it's me.
Well, and we get to see it on a daily in the real estate world, especially the last 3 months.
That's why I do less and
cutthroat.
less.
Yeah. Well, the handshake's gone.
Of course.
The handshake's gone. The old saying of a handshake deal, it's gone.
Yeah.
I mean, realtors are brutal to each other. The conversation Mike and I have, we've always had a working relationship where if we got in a deal, I was like, all right, Mike, what's up? And those are the type of relationships you need to have in it. But I mean, a majority of the realtors don't even welcome it.
There's a particular company in town that anytime I see their name, I cringe.
It's
Because
true.
the last 7 deals I've had with that company, they've been pure and utter disasters.
Yeah.
And so why
Whether they're not trained or they're just puffing their chest, one
Yep.
of the two.
And it didn't used to be that way. It used to be like pretty much anybody you dealt with when we got in the business was going to get it done.
Well, and that's always one thing that I held our hat with Coldwell is we trained our people.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's rare for the bigger companies to be able to do that. I mean, my animosity against Coldwell is zero. I mean, I left because
I don't know anybody in town that hates Coldwell.
Yeah, I left for a reason, and my reason was because I had the property management.
Of course.
side. And it just was getting too big, and they were going to.
There was a kind of a mutual thing, like,
Yeah.
okay, I wish you'd stay, but we understand.
yeah. I mean, no one wants to see their one of their top performers leave, and that's what Mike kept saying. And he's like, "But the property management is a lot." I'm like, "It is.
Yes, it is.
You ain't even kidding." I'm like, so it was mutual, but I mean, the training that goes into it, it's kind of one thing that I think my realtors will be successful with because I saw the importance of the training side of it. And shit, man, get in these other companies out there, not naming any names either, but the training's zero.
It's zero.
And it's unfortunate because we're dealing with the biggest purchases.
Yep, no big deal.
Not a big deal. You know, hey,
Just the biggest deal, but no big
It's
deal.
no big deal.
what do you mean about what's a time of transfer? What is this, huh? What's going on? And it's like, man, all right, just sit back. Let me do this deal for us.
Yeah, like
I'll
I'm
get you
too,
a check at closing.
I'm
just
too
sit back.
loyal, man. I'm actually trying to buy a third vehicle right now, and I had this dealer that I know. Like I had him look up like one vehicle for me. It probably took him 5 minutes, but now I feel like I have to use him because I've got loyalty there.
Yeah.
Well, we've been on that other side.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. We've been on the other side where you wish people would think that way, and they don't.
You go above and beyond, and then but my cousin's a realtor, so I went with them.
Awesome.
Well, and everything in today's world
That's
has
the
to
word
be
I
signed
wanted.
on. Well, that back to the handshake is now the laws that just came out this last 3 months.
Now, sorry, we can't have handshakes anymore. Now it's like you got to commit.
Yeah, your commit is now, and a lot of these people are signing shit they don't know.
Yep.
We talked about last episode. People are signing shit.
I actually worked my butt off this spring before my daughter was born in order to just not really do anything for the next 4 months, especially with the band schedule this summer. It's wild. So it's great because I'm letting you guys figure out all of the shit that's happening, and then in about 3 months I'll
Just call you.
I'll be like, all right, how'd we turn out? Like, how do things work now?
Yep. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's a whole nother episode.
I got a meeting on Monday and Tuesday with my staff, just covering shit.
If 10 years ago somebody could have come to me with a job offer for a 9 to 5, and I would be like, I'm good. Now, if tomorrow somebody comes at me
compelling.
I'm like,
It's like I picked the wrong time to start my own brokerage because now all these changes are coming down the pipeline.
and now you're responsible. That's what we were just talking about in the other room. Like, I'm going to let everybody else figure this stuff out, and then they'll tell me. But you have to be involved, and you have to figure it out.
It is such a different. I get called from other brokerages all day. Hey, when you ready to come over? When you ready to come back? I'm like, hey, what
Too
time?
late now.
When are we meeting tomorrow? Because you figure this shit out, and I'm not going to sign a 2-year contract with you, but I'm going to sign a contract until this shit's figured
I'll
out.
bring everybody with me.
Yeah, I'll bring you a team.
I just noticed Mike avoid cussing, and I wanted to tell you this, Lucas. So until our last episode, there was only one F-bomb ever said in the 3 seasons.
Yeah.
After our last episode, we are at 39. So thank you, Chuck.
I'm not the first one. I'll never be the first one to swear, but the minute one of you drops one, I'm
It's
like,
over with.
let's go.
The seal has been broken.
Oh, man.
I'm an English major, and most English majors would tell you that it's like clean comedians where they're like, you don't have to swear. It's like, no, I love swear words.
They're the best.
The diversity of the word fuck is so awesome.
The inflection makes it mean so many
much
different.
things.
Yes.
I love that word.
Well, and I'm broke because of a swear jar, so I get it. I understand.
This is why he's got to stay in real estate.
Yeah, I'm broke because of the swear jar. Man, I remember Spanish. I mean, you wanted to reach a kid in Spanish class. I mean, in sophomore and freshman years, junior year of high school. I mean, we're there. We're looking to see who's in the room with you.
Yep.
And then they're trying to teach us Spanish and not realizing how important it is in today's because, I mean, this was 23 years ago.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, shoot, all we had was cuss words. I mean, I could tell you every cuss word in Spanish. I mean, I could.
I worked in a kitchen, so that's how I learned all that.
Yeah, I mean,
Chili's, the kitchen at Chili's taught me everything I needed to know.
That's
oh,
awesome.
man. And so
Man,
you're right.
Yeah.
100%. Sorry about the F-bombs.
Oh, you're good.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Mike.
Confused breakfast is just. I have it set to automatically check explicit when I upload every episode.
Oh, damn.
Because it's like
we're not even going to try.
it's never going to happen.
Let's be ourselves.
It's never going to happen. A 2-hour episode about a movie that you're passionate about, you're going to drop some swear words.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So I want to actually transition from there and kind of wrap us up with one other topic, and then we'll close out. Mike, you wear so many hats. One of those hats is one of the most important hats of today, which is the social media guy.
Yeah.
We had Jake from marketing on one of our episodes talk about your work-life balance, the social media, the fact that you, like you mentioned, you don't even promote the real estate side of it. Talk about your schedule, figuring out the algorithm. Help us out.
Okay, let's put it this way. When I got into the pork tornadoes, I squeaked my way in there. I filled a vacant drum throne, and I'm nowhere near anywhere close to the best drummer even in the city, let alone the state. Like, I am an extremely average drummer. I've played 30 years of my life, and I will never impress anyone. People will come up to me and they'll be like, "Hey, you were really great tonight." I'll be like, "Oh, thanks," and they'll be like, "Yeah, the way you played the keyboard was so good." I'll be like, "Oh, well, that's Jerry." They go, "Oh, okay." And then instead of being
the drums are good too,
and they don't even
like,
say that, they're
guy.
like, "Well, where is he? I want to tell him that." So
I was scared when Lucas said the instrument. I was like, "Don't you say the wrong instrument with our
This
guest."
is my guy here. I mean, I'm
was
like,
everybody
I'm a
knows.
groupie, man. I'm a groupie. But he's the only drummer that can sing Coolio.
Yeah,
Oh, so fire.
I'm the
Yeah,
only
it's
rapping
paradise.
drummer.
Yeah, he's the only
that way.
drummer that can sing Coolio.
But so I learned at a young age that you make yourself irreplaceable. Generally speaking, in the music business, being really good at something at an instrument is not irreplaceable, because that if you're a shitty hang and you cloud the room up, like, we can find someone else.
Yeah.
So I quickly realized that I had an ability to, like, do social media, to understand marketing, to create content. I kind of realized that pretty quick. And I said, I want to do this for the band. Like, I had never really done it before, but I'm like, I could be the guy.
Yeah.
And so I taught myself on the way, and I quickly realized that social media is so important, and learning how to do that stuff. And not only is it important to learn it, but then to figure out, because it changed. The minute you figure an algorithm out, it changes.
Yeah.
It
Every time.
When you
Every
go,
time I
figured
watch
it
one
out.
of those videos, here's how the new update and algorithm goes. Like, I figure it out. I'm like, okay, got it. And then they're like, here's the new video of how I just watched the last one 5 minutes ago.
Dude.
I hate this.
Dude,
I hate it. I just want to make music.
Exactly. And unfortunately, you have to do the other side of it.
There's no getting around
And I
it.
enjoy it. I have these two products. I have this incredible band of talented musicians, and I have this incredible podcast of talented podcasters, that all I have to do is spread the word about it.
Yep.
So it's really easy to just come up with fun stuff. And I'm obviously on social media, so I like seeing what you do. All of a sudden, one of your posts will catch my eye.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, one of AVP's posts will catch my eye. And that's the key to social media, is seeing what other people are doing.
yeah.
If there's a reason, if you see something in your feed and it's got 1 million likes, there's a reason.
Yeah.
Look at that and go, why?
Yeah.
Oh, is it because they're using hashtags? Is it because they are tagging people? Because they're not tagging people?
And something you said
Yes.
on the last time I interviewed you is like, nothing's actually original.
No.
Copy that, learn from that,
Dude,
use
don't
that, and
recreate the
apply it
wheel.
to yourself.
No, you never assume, like, I'm going to come up with something. No, it's just like, if you see something, go, oh, that's a
That
great
worked?
idea.
Cool.
Hawk to a girl. If you did not immediately, if you did not immediately make a meme or your own video version of that, what do you do? Why are you even on the internet?
I swear.
Because like, guess what? Like, we spliced the Hawk to a Girl with Shania Twain's whatever song that we
And he
play
made it
first,
mine.
and he made it mine. She goes, Hawk to a 3, 4, like, it's perfect. And we did that right away, and it went viral because everybody was searching for it. So like, that's the only thing I can say about social media is, like, trial and error, and get over it. If you make a post and you put a bunch of time into it and it doesn't go anywhere, immediately move on and get over it. I used to stew on it so bad when it's like, well, why is the algorithm not feeding this? It's just, they're not. So do it again. Try it again.
Consistency is not there on the social media side of it too. If you're consistent with your posts, you'll get the content and you'll get the followers. But how it's gonna go and when you release, there's because I pay people to do that stuff. Tone, Jake. Because you guys, we're back in the sophomore year Spanish again, and I about just threw shit in the swear jar because I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, what do you mean algorithm? I mean, if I type in dick, what's coming up? I mean, that was my uncle's name.
And never be afraid. Like, another piece of advice: never be afraid of the new thing. Like, we talked about TikTok, right? When TikTok came out, I'm like, okay.
Yep.
I got to get on this.
Let's go. Yep.
And TikTok's been our #1 source of revenue for the podcast.
So dope.
How insane is
Love that.
The fact that we just took a chance on it and said, okay, I'm going to commit to it and I'm going to post every day for a year.
Yep.
Let's go. I'm going to put some time into this. So that's how social media works. Is just, if the new thing comes along, get on it.
Hop on it.
Yeah.
Because by the chance, it's like anything else. By the time you hear about it, GameStop, you're like, I want to get in on games. It's too late.
Yep,
It's too late.
All right, I gotta ask you this too before we leave. I saw a post. You mentioned AI. I didn't know if you were joking or not. I know it broke my heart a little bit. You said something about use AI to fill up a arena or something.
Oh yeah.
Please elaborate. I have not gotten the answer. I wanted to call
That
you
was.
when I saw that.
I'm not a political guy by any means.
Okay.
I'm a firm believer in like we need to go back to the days when nobody talked about who you're voting for.
Yeah.
But you can't help but see all the divisiveness in politics nowadays. And,
Yeah.
And one of the candidates has been. One of the candidates for president and their party has been talking about
I
Photoshop.
have no idea that was related.
They've been talking about photoshopping crowds, which is just, it's like, what?
Yeah.
So then, of course, I shared a photo of a real crowd.
Thank you. It was real.
And that
Dude,
was
I got so scared. I'm like, there's no way. I've been to a Port Tornado show. That many people
That was
show
the
up.
dig. I'm never going to take a stance on
I thought
politics.
that you were saying that photo was
No.
AI and an AI crowd. And I'm like, there's no way.
That was the dig.
Oh,
but
God,
I'm not
I
going
was
to
so
dig,
scared.
but that was the dig.
I was so scared. Like, there's no way.
No.
This has to be real.
Well, yeah.
I've been to these shows. Are you telling me
been.
these people are AI? It's getting so good.
It is getting good. Let's put it that way.
And
Okay, I get it now.
getting into when it says, you don't know what to believe what goes on out there.
Yeah.
and
I
what is
don't
true.
trust anything I read anymore, and I don't think anyone else should. And unfortunately, too many people do trust everything they read and everything. And that same goes as politics. It's housing market. It's these fucking news stories of like the new law went into effect, and now buyers have to pay commissions to their agents. It's like. No, they don't. No, they don't. But okay, thanks for saying that. And
now we're answering 3,000 questions.
Yes.
Well, and it was. We were talking it the other night, and funny story is there was 3 guys, and it was during a high school draft that we were in for whatever not, and the high school draft going on, and the guy's talking about having the remote and having to turn down when his girlfriend comes in. I've waited all day to watch TV and watch the news and. Blah, 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 and here she comes. So I put it on pause so she knows I'm listening.
Yep.
And the other one goes, you know what? I just turned the volume up louder when she starts talking. I looked at him, and I'm like, you guys got the remote?
Right. She
I'm like,
allows you to have the remote.
But I'm like, man, you guys know how to run the remote? I don't get an option. And they're like, what do you watch? And they're like, do you watch? And she goes, well, he watches the news and Sports Center and blah, 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 blah. They're like, do you watch CNN or Fox? Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I got to watch them both. And they're like, why? I go, because I'm in real estate.
Yeah.
I go, because you watch one, you're going to hear the wrong answer. You watch the other one, you're getting another wrong answer. So I need to know. I need to know what's being
what
said
answers
out there.
I need to provide.
Whatever
when
has
I
not
hit
been
with the
said
question.
yet is the right answer.
Yes.
Yep.
So I got to know what this side's talking about, this side's talking about, so I can figure out how to communicate with ours. So I mean, and that's
wild.
scary. It's so wild that
It's
I have
only
to
gonna
spend
get worse,
an hour
sir.
this way and an hour this way just to understand how to talk to my clients.
Yep.
Because. Yeah, I mean, I have investors from 17 different states.
Yep.
So I got the red states, the blue states, and all this, and they're coming to Iowa because.
And you know better than taking a stance on your social media, don't you?
I lost a client the first time I did.
Yep. And then you said never
Can't
again.
do that. He never did that again.
Because I'm not allowed. If I'm blue and you're red, we cannot be friends and work together. It's like what fucking world is this?
It's
Bloods and
exactly
Crips.
Oh my God!
It's LA. It's the streets of LA. But
That's
we call
the
it
only
social
red and
media.
blue that can't work together. You know what I'm saying.
I've seen that happen before in the political parties.
Well, hell, I think they're getting along. The Bloods and Crips are getting along better than the.
They might be, dude.
I mean, because at least one's going to come shoot you in the face. The political side, they're going to kill your family, and then they're coming after everything else.
Lucas is off the rails. That's what happens when we get too much whiskey.
Yeah, I mean,
This could have gone on forever.
I swear. But to wrap this up, the beauty of this podcast, and thank you, Mike, for being here
I
and
appreciate you, man.
giving us.
We'll see you at the Iowa Podcast Awards. Congrats for both of you on your shows being nominated.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, this is a podcast nominated. Iowa Podcast Award nominated.
It's
podcast.
like food and drink related. Was that the category or something?
It was business.
Cool.
Yeah.
business. Yep, here we are.
But we do have some drinks.
Yeah, for sure.
But the beauty of this podcast, Whiskey and Real Estate, I feel like the whiskey, and this is why you're the perfect guest, because you're the best of both worlds. See, I don't know whiskey, but to me the whiskey is the music side of things.
Yeah.
And real estate is the family side of things. So me and Lucas come together and we talk a little bit about both. And you just come here and you're like our perfect from episode 1. I hope one day we can get Mike Schulte on here.
Right. True story.
And for you to come here and you know tell your story and all the things that you do, like I can't thank you enough.
This is why podcasting is so important, is because we've sat in a room now for an hour.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
3 people that haven't looked at their phone, that have listened to each other talk and have had a conversation. Like,
Right.
The human interaction.
It's the stuff we all used to do, where we used to just go to a bar and have some drinks with friends. Like, it doesn't happen anymore.
Yeah.
So
No,
these are the most important conversations. So
Yep.
that's why it's so great that you're doing it. You know what I mean?
I think this is the perfect opener to season 4. Thank
Look
you
at
so
that.
much,
Yeah,
Mike Schulte, Confused Breakfast,
Yeah.
Port Tornadoes, Mike the Realtor,
Yes.
just a dope ass dude.
Appreciate you.
Mike the dad, baby.
Yeah,
That's
there we
my
go.
most important job.
Exactly. Yep.
All day.
Agreed. Girl dads. Yes.
Girl dads to girl
2
dads.
girls. That's crazy.